the Holocaust from ever taking place, and who calls for the destruction of Israel, is addressing this anti-racism conference. It reminds me of the time when the Islamic Republic of Iran sent Saeed Murtazavi, the chief prosecutor of Iran, as their key representative to the new Human Rights Council a couple years ago. The chief prosecutor that was involved in the death of Zafar Kazemi, the Canadian photojournalist, I'm sure you've all heard of him. I saw that as a slap to the face of the international community, and I see this also as a slap to the face of the international community. First of all, President Ahmadinejad and his unelected puppeteer, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, do not represent the people of Iran, but represent a regime of intolerance and the most brutal human rights violations one can imagine. I was born in Iran in 1979 at the start of the revolution, and that spiraled my country back into the Middle Ages and brought on severe human rights abuses. My father was imprisoned, tortured, and almost executed by the Revolutionary Guard simply for allowing alcohol, music, and dancing to be played at the hotel where he managed. This was forbidden under the new Islamic rule, but nobody gave him the memo to tell him this. I know the very real feeling of having to uproot from one's home and to start from scratch in another country at the expense of someone else's political agenda. I am pleased that this Geneva summit is taking place, running parallel to the Durban Review Conference, because it gives a platform to people like myself, human rights defenders, NGOs, and victims of torture and human rights abuses to speak truth. My fellow Iranian compatriots are sick of the lies and deceit of the Islamic Republic of Iran and lip service they give to the international community, and we are equally troubled by the relative inaction of the international community, or chosen blindsidedness for economic reasons, to address Iran's human rights abuses and back the people of Iran, who so desperately need the help of the free world to be the voice on the world stage. In fact, I call on the countries that believe in freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law, and the Declaration of Human Rights to stand in solidarity with the people of Iran and walk out tomorrow from the Durban Review Conference when Mr. Ahmadinejad makes his address. I would like to directly quote President Ahmadinejad's comments and clarify some of the lies he's said in the last few years and set straight the record on what is truly taking place in Iran. False fact number one. Last year, when President Ahmadinejad addressed the National Press Club in New York, he said, "The freest women in the world are women in Iran." Yes, I hear a few giggles. That's exactly right. It's true that the women in Iran are strong. They're educated. 65% of the women in Iran are people in universities are women in Iran. They participate in civil society. However, the regime cannot take credit for what the women's movement have built themselves. If they were so free and equal, why would there be a huge campaign in Iran called the 1 Million Signatures Campaign to End Discriminatory Laws in Iran, where women are trying to empower other women? It's a grassroots movement to go door to door, empowering women, teaching them about their rights. Why would people like Nafisa Azad be imprisoned and arrested for simply collecting signatures for this campaign? Under Iran's penal code, which is based on Sharia law, it states that a life of a woman is literally worth half of a man. So for example, if you get into a car accident and you kill a woman, you would only have to pay half as much as if you killed a man in compensation. Women are denied equal rights when it comes to divorce, intolerance, and inheritance. When a woman travels, she needs to get permission from her husband or father in order to travel. She is forced to wear Islamic dress and cannot run for presidency or become a judge. I hardly call this being the freest in the world. Morality police would not have to go around arresting women, beating them, or simply wearing boots over their jeans because it's considered too Western. Denying successful women's rights activists to leave Iran and accept international prizes like Tadbin Adalan or Nasrin Sotoudeh, or denying those that were born in Iran to, or not actually denying them, but instilling fear those that are coming from abroad wanting to go back to Iran and do research, like Hisham Moeni from the United States or Roxana Saberi, who just yesterday got an 8-year prison term on charges of trumped-up charges of espionage. The regime fears that it's standing on its last leg, that they even have to shut down Nobel Peace Laureate Shirin Ebadi's Human Rights Center. False fact number 2. In a speech at Columbia, Mr. Ahmadinejad said that there were no homosexuals in Iran. Could that be because the regime is executing homosexuals, like the case of teens Mahmoud Asghari and Ayaz Marhoni, who were publicly hung in 2005, or the more recent case of Mahmoud Luzadeh in December 2007, who was charged with rape for homosexual acts when he was 13 years old. But the man that came forward, the other 13-year-old boy, said that this was not a rape. And so they put him on a donkey, paraded them, insulted him, and when he turned 18, they executed him. On that same vein, what about false fact number 3? What about the denial of the executions of juveniles taking place in Iran? Mr. Ahmadinejad, in his interview with the New York Times on September 26, 2008, said, "In Iran, youngsters are not executed. Where have they been executed? Our law actually sets 18 as the criminally liable age for capital punishment." As president and co-founder of the Stop Child Executions organization, I would like to remind Ahmadinejad of Mullah Abul Hassan that was executed this year, the 8 children that were executed last year, and the 7 children executed the year before that. Not to mention the 140+ children that are currently waiting on death row in Iran. Even Iran's Deputy State Public Prosecutor Hossein Azzati announced a few months ago at the 63rd Annual UN General Assembly panel that a memorandum had been sent to all bodies of the judiciary in Iran to stop executions and instructed judges to issue a maximum sentence of life imprisonment with possibility of parole after 15 years in the execution. Only to retract his statement 3 days later, when the General Assembly was finished, and clarify that he meant what he meant was only drug traffickers. Iran is state party to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which blatantly forbids the execution of those who committed offenses before the age of 18. But what Iran does is they bastardize international law. Iran's penal code is based on Sharia law. In this law, it says the age of puberty is 9 years old for a girl and 15 years old for a boy. It's clarified in Article 49 of Iran's penal code. Now, what they do is they say, fine, we won't execute a 9-year-old girl, but we'll wait till she turns 18 and then we'll